but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. You're free to be you.
Good morning. Welcome to North Star. Very glad you've chosen to worship with us this morning. I have no idea what that sound is. I'm guessing no one else does either. Don't worry about that. My name's Jim. I'm the worship leader here. I'd like to extend a second welcome to any guests who may be worshiping among us. We're very glad you're here. Before we get started, though, just a few quick announcements. There's a book on the inside aisle. Go ahead and sign in and pass it to your neighbors so they can sign in as well. And there are prayer request cards in the book, and if there's anything you would like to lift up, just fill out a card and put it in the basket when it comes around later. We have a number of things going on at the church right now. A lot of that is documented on the tables up front, so make sure you check that out. A lot of good events to share and post to your friends on social media or whatever, so make sure you do that this week. This time, though, I'd like to invite you to rise and to greet one another. That one was pointed at the main. Maybe that's the problem. Are you ready? Oh, I'm not ready. Please remain standing and sing with us. Into marvelous light I'm running, out of darkness and out of shame. By the cross you are the truth, you are the life, you are the way. I once was fatherless, a stranger with no hope. Your kindness wakened me from my sleep. Your love, it beckons deeply, a call to come and die. By grace now I will come, take this life, take your life. Sin has lost its power, death has lost its sting. From the grave you risen, victoriously. Into marvelous light I'm running, out of darkness and out of shame. By the cross you are the truth, you are the life, you are the way. My dead heart now is beating, my deepest stains now clean. Your breath fills up my lungs, now I'm free, now I'm free. My dead heart now is beating, my deepest stains now clean. Your breath fills up my lungs, now I'm free, now I'm free. Sin has lost its power, death has lost its sting. From the grave you risen, victoriously. Into marvelous light I'm running, out of darkness and out of shame. By the cross you are the truth, you are the life, you are the way. Lift my hands and spin around, see the light that I found. Oh, the marvelous light, marvelous light. Lift my hands and spin around, see the light that I found. Oh, the marvelous light, marvelous light. Sin has lost its power. Death has lost its sting. From the grave you've risen victoriously. Into marvelous light I'm running, out of darkness and out of shame. By the cross you are the truth, you are the life, you are the way. Into marvelous light I'm running, out of darkness and out of shame. By the cross you are the truth, you are the life, you are the way. Amen. Would you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for another chance to come together and lift up your name in praise. We ask that you clear all the obstacles that would keep us from you in these moments that we spend together, Lord, that you would enter in, that we'd feel your presence in this place. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. You stood before creation, eternity in your hand. You spoke the earth into motion, my soul now to stand. You stood before my failure, carried the cross for my shame. My sin weighed upon your shoulders, my soul now to stand. So what could I say? What could I do? And offer this heart, oh God, in you. So I walk upon salvation, your spirit alive in me. My life to declare your promise, my soul now to stand. What could I say? But offer this heart, oh God, within you. So what could I say? What could I do? Offer this heart, oh God. Arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. Now stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrender all. I am is yours. I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. Now stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrender all. I am is yours. Now stand, arms high and heart abandoned, surrender all I am is yours. All I am is yours. So what could I say? What could I do? But offer this heart, oh God, lead it to you. Please be seated. So in the greeting this morning, I'm sure I should have pointed out that we have a guest speaker today, that Larry Linville will be leading us through worship this morning. I would say welcome, but that's what you say to like visitors. And you're,
Yeah, I'm not a visitor, am
so I will say good morning.
Good morning, and it's time for the children to go. They send them out when they brought me in. I have to talk just a little bit to see if my level, and it sounds like for me it is. We hadn't checked the level of my mic. So this is time for an offering, I understand. Actually, when a pastor retires, he or she begins to feel like, what am I worth? And then when you retire the second time, it gets worse, and the third time it gets worse. But I want to thank you for making me feel important to you. I can come in here week after week, and I get the smiles and the handshakes, and somebody asked, well, why do you go to church? And I said, well, I don't know. I think those people appreciate having me there. So I just want to thank you for that. But also, last summer, I was gone the whole summer up to Turney, and you all prayed for me, and you prayed for Turney. I thank you on behalf of me, and I thank you on behalf of Turney. That meant a lot to that little church to know that you were praying for them. And some of those words in that song about offering ourselves, offering our did it say total self? Or were you listening? Anyway, we offer ourselves to God, and Tony has started last week to love the Lord with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and we talked about heart last week. A part of what we do at this time when we pass the plate is that we're offering a part of ourselves, but we offer more of ourselves in our actions and our service. And as you can see by my head dressing today, I'm going to pick my brain. So I'll give a part of me to you. Let us pray. God, we thank you that first of all, we have the leadership of Tony and Frida. We thank you and pray that you'll be with them as annual conference draws to an end. We thank you that we're moving closer and closer to being in a more permanent dwelling, although we realize our mission is not to that building, but is to the community. And we thank you for persons in this special place that they're willing to give of their time and their talents and their energies. So we pray this morning that you'll be with our church in this transitional time, and you'll help us to move in a direction that we feel you are calling us. We ask you to guide us, bless us, and most of all, to give us strength and energy. Amen.
Tongues of angels, we can move mountains with our faith. We could give everything away if we don't have our know all the mysteries of our faith. We could sing all the highest praise. If we don't have love, we're left with nothing. People of God, rise up and shine. God's love. We are the light of the world, of the world. Oh, we are the light of the world, of the world. Oh. Love is what holds it all together. Love never fails, it never dies. There is no deeper truth than we know God is love. Our God is love. People of God, rise up and shine. God's love. We are the light of the world, of the world. We are the light of the world, of the world. Tear down the walls that divide us. Let love rebuild and unite us. All we need is love. People of God, rise up and shine. God's love. We are the light of the world, of the world. People of God, rise up and shine. God's love. We are the light of the world, of the world. We are the light of the world, of the world. We are the light of the world, of the world.
It's good to have friends. I am just starting my 59th year as a minister. Started when I was 3. And I started coming to this church because when this church started, some of you old-timers may remember that there was a calling bank set up to start calling before we ever opened the doors. Who remembers where that was located? At McMurray. Guess who was pastor at McMurray at that time? And I was getting closer to retirement, and I said to myself, I think when I retire, I'm going to go to this new church. And when I got here the first Sunday, there was a young doctor. Had a hard last name to remember. Smith. And he welcomed me to this church because when he came to have surgery with people from McMurray and you go back in to consult with the doctor, a lot of times I was there with him, and he told me one day he was looking for a church, and I told him about this. And he came, and he was here when I came, and he welcomed me. And he paid us back by operating on Thelma several times. So Tony and I talked about the fact that he'd be at annual conference. You know, we retired ministers, we get a lot of invitations to fill pulpits when the ministers are all at conference. And I let him know I hadn't had a call yet, and so he signed me up. And I've been thinking about the circumstances. Frida would like for me to preach about my McDonald's ministry. There'll be a part of it in this. And I'll be happy to come back sometime to a workshop. I missed a workshop where I would have talked about that. We'll get a little bit of it, I think, if I don't forget. But it seemed to me that there was a more important, equally important thing for us to talk about at this point in time. Did any of you see the news that Tony put on about watching Field of Dreams? How many have seen the Field of Dreams? Most of you have. What were those 6 words that he kept hearing? You're wrong. He will come. Who said that? Yeah, I was hoping y'all would get it wrong. He kept hearing those words, build it and he will come. Now, we have commonly talked about build it and they will come, and that's how I want to use it. Because I think part of our biggest problem we face the last part of this summer is having the assumption that putting a nice, pretty building like that, and I've been out, I haven't been there in work days. I'll give you an excuse if you want to hear one. Ministers come up with the best excuses because we get them from the parishioners. We got the cream of the crop. But I drove out the other day and was very pleased. You just think putting a nice building like that in a nice neighborhood, once we open the doors, they're just going to flood in, aren't they? Now, you see that title, is it still up there? Build it and they might come. But that might depends on us. I've had some people in the church here, we've talked and says, Larry, you know, I know we're going to have to invite people, but I just can't do it. And I'll bet the majority of you feel the same way. Guys, how do I do it? Now, I don't know what they're doing all this dirt work out here for. Does anybody know? You know, if they would put up a nice, big restaurant with wonderful food in it, even though we got 7 million restaurants in this town. Incidentally, come go with me to Raising Cane's tomorrow. I've never been there, but I'm going to go. I don't like chicken fingers. I've been around chickens all my life, and I never saw their fingers. But if they put up a nice restaurant out here, and you went, and it was the best food you've ever tasted, would you have any trouble going to a friend or somebody and say, hey, you ought to try this new restaurant? What would they do to you if they don't like that kind of food? Has anybody ever had anybody start a fight because they were invited to something? I never have. The problem we have then is, gosh, I'll tell you about the favorite car I have, the favorite TV show, the favorite place to eat, but you might be offended if I tell you about a place to go to church. You know, the statistics, since I have retired all these many times, I'm not as up to date on the latest theological church stuff. But it used to be, we'd say, people who are invited to church are 80% likely to say yes. I don't know if that's changed. So what we need to think about today is how can I do this? Because I know none of us here wants not to do that. Does that double negative get it? We all want to see the church Phil, we want to meet new friends. We want to pray with new people. We want to work beside new people. A preacher preaches better when the crowd's bigger. Sometimes. If they prepared well. Now, so please don't excuse yourself because you're shy. I'm going to say something now that nobody will believe me, but I'm basically a shy person. I was saying that at Trenton, at the Trenton church when I was preaching there, and I blurted that out. I'm a shy person. And they all kind of, oh yeah. My youth counselor from the little church I was raised in had started attending there, and she was in the balcony. And I said, Dottie, did I lie? And in a loud voice, she said, you were one of the shyest kids I ever met. So I'm shy. Any of you acquainted with Myers-Briggs? How many all acquainted with the Myers-Briggs? A few nods, but not a lot of, oh yes! Myers-Briggs checks your personality and everything. You answer all these questions, and there's a chart, and there's the one for an introvert and an extrovert. Now, an introvert's a shy person, right? On that chart, my dot on that line appears a little bit to the introvert side of center. I am basically more introvert than extrovert. You don't have to believe me, but it's the truth. Well, Larry, that is your name, isn't it? Yeah. How did you come out of that? Well, we moved from the church I was raised in. When I was a sophomore in high school, I had since the age of 12 known I was going to be a preacher. And I didn't think being a preacher and being an introvert would work the best together. And we went to, had to go to the new church. You had one choice if you wanted to be Methodist. There was one Methodist church in town, a Baptist church and a Christian church, and Assembly of God. And it just seems that I read something that week that I don't know how scientifically accurate this is. You psychiatrists can take in on it, but we act the way we expect other people to see us act. Follow me? Now, with my 15-year-old mind, I said, so if I can force myself with these new people that don't know I'm shy to be more outgoing, then they're going to expect me to be outgoing. That's silly thinking, isn't it? It works. It works. Who's going to accuse me of being shy these days? So, the really first point for those of you that I have trouble asking somebody is, it gets easier. You got to put yourself in difficult situations to grow. If you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to grow. Now, this is where McDonald's ministry comes in. I think there's some ways that you can talk to people that you don't know, and it becomes easier. Last Sunday, we left here and drove by IHOP, and we didn't even have to wait. We went into IHOP, and we were leaving. Now, Thelma's broke a rib, and she's had a little trouble with that. She's going to the car, and Larry's along talking to people as he leaves the restaurant, people he doesn't know. But you see, when I retired the third time, I said, I won't preach as much. I can handle that. But I'm going to miss talking to people. A pastor in a congregation, people come up and they ask you questions and they tell you things. They tell you things they've never told anybody else. I'm going to miss that. I was going to McDonald's every day anyway, and I I started seeing people that came in that I'd not seen there in a long time, or maybe ever, and I got wondering if anybody ever talked to them. And I saw people I knew nobody would talk to. So I made it my mission to go talk to these people. I'd leave my table, I'd go talk to them. Just to give you a few examples, there was a Latino family that was in there with several children. And I went over. Now, what do you say? What do you say? Listen to the, I'll try to teach a little bit. I went up to him, to the husband, and I said, "Where did you get all these cute kids?" And he said, pointing to his wife, "She gave them to me." And we laughed a little bit, and I said something more, and I noticed he was interpreting to her what I was saying. So I turned to her and I said, "Do you speak much English?" And she just shook her head no. And he said, I said, "¿Cómo está usted?" Spanish teachers, was that close? And he said it was. And I think she said, "Muy bien," or something like that. Well, we had a nice little visit, and I went back to my table. And a couple of weeks later, I noticed a couple go through the restaurant, and they waved at me as they were leaving. I thought, "Who in the world is that?" And after they got out the door, "Oh, that's that Mexican couple." And then a couple of weeks later, they were in there together, and they were seated there, and they had waved at me. And I went over, and I said, "Let me thank you for waving at me 2 weeks ago, even though I couldn't place you for a little bit." And we talked a little bit, and I knew what he was doing, and then a couple of months later, he was in there with his oldest daughter, and I said to her, "¿Cómo está?" And he said, "She doesn't speak much English." That's just from asking, "Where'd you get all those cute kids?" You kind of need to find something unique to ask some. Oh, it doesn't have to be unique. I, a lot of times, go up and say, "Are you from around here?" Now, that's downtown, isn't it? "Are you from around here?" And that starts a conversation. "No, I'm from out east of town." I remember this one. "I live out around Carrollton." I said, well, the daughter had a letter jacket that had an N on it. I says, "Could it be Norburn?" "Yeah, as a matter of fact." I said, "Do you know Larry Linville out there?" Matter of fact, there's another Larry Linville that lives out around Norburn. I've never met him. Then I saw a couple in there who had, the woman had all this stuff on her head, cloth over her head. I'm trying to talk stupid, but they were a Muslim couple. No, who's going to talk to them? There's not a magic rush. So I went over and I says, "Would you mind if I greeted you?" They said, "Happy for you to." And I talked with them a little bit, and I said, "I'm sure a lot of people ignore you." I said, I'm sorry for that. And we talked just a little bit, and as I got back, going back to my table, she said, "You've made our day." A black man was in there, and I went over to him, and I said, "Do you live around here?" And he said, "No, I live in Indianapolis." "Well, what are you doing here?" His son is grandson is the choreographer for the Indiana Pacers cheerleaders. And he had come to a dance studio here to do some teaching to dance students. And Grandpa helped him drive. Now, I didn't see anybody else come talk to him. My point of all of this with my McDonald's ministry is that we just need to talk to more people. And you don't have to talk about the deepest scientific things. So, here you sit. Church is going to open in August. We got till August. You suppose it's too early to start talking about our new building? Hey, we're going to get a new church building. We've already got a church, 20 years old. We're going to get a new location. And, you don't have to jump over them, clear over them all at once. But when you have somebody that is a potential person, somebody that you've got a beginning point. If they're a neighbor, you've neighbored. Now, a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but if I talk to them, it might spoil our neighborliness. Well, do you really have neighbors if that's going to happen? Now, if you just call them up every day, you going to go with us now? You going to go with us now? But you don't have to give the whole load all at once. We're going to have a new building. I'd love for you to come go with me sometime. Drop it. But if you're meeting somebody that you're not a close person with, the first thing to find out is what I usually do. You live around here. What do you do for a living? I always find that an interesting thing. I saw a young mother with a little boy out there the other day, and she teaches children with disabilities. Oh, wonderful. I was able to thank her for studying and giving her time, but I met a really unselfish person. Now, if you find out occupations, you can always find out interests. What do you do in your spare time? Is that an offending question? What do you do in your spare time? Are they going to say, none of your business? I doubt it. It's their spare time. They're happy to do it, or they wouldn't be doing it. I golf about every two or three times a week, or I like to cook, or I'm a big fisherman. Something like that. And you don't have to know about it. I mean, somebody tell me about cooking, I'm going to say, well, I like to eat. Somebody golf. So I was talking to a golfer the other day. He says, going golfing today. I said, well, I shoot in the low 70s. Oh, you do? Yeah. Gets any warmer than that, I'm not going to go out there. But you find out what they do, and then if you just visit and listen to what they say. There was a story, I heard this last week with the 50th anniversary of Bobby Kennedy's death. The young man that was holding his head as he died worked there at the hotel. And he'd brought him a room service thing earlier in the day. And his words were, he looked at me, not through me. Gosh, isn't that so wonderful? Part of our problem in talking to people is we're trying to think about what we're going to say next rather than listen to what they're saying. Try a little experiment. Go into a group where they're just casual, they're happy hour, and you go around there and somebody says, how are you? Well, I'm going to have my both of my legs cut off tomorrow. And, oh, that's good. They're not listening. So listen to them. Listen to them. And ask, I didn't know. I tried golfing once, but I kept missing the ball. What should I do? Just listen and show an interest in what they have. If you take the thing over and they say, well, I like to golf, then you start giving them all the tournaments you've entered, you're not listening. But as you've talked long enough, you're suddenly your friends. Is it bad to say to a friend, well, where do you go to church? Is that offensive? Where do you go to church? Unless they don't go. And they might, we never. Well, where did you go when you did go? And if you could, by that time, you've seen if they really want to talk about it. If not, I said, just thought I'd invite you to mine if you ever look, and you can walk off. Not everybody's going to say yes. Just 80% of them. I like them selling odds. So, as we get closer, I've been telling people about our church is moving. Now, there are going to be some times that you will invite somebody to your church and you know it's not going to work. You ever hear of Liberal, Missouri? It ain't. I was pastor there for 4 years, and one of the older families in our church had moved and sold a house. I tell you, they were there every time the church opened, and he'd sing in the choir. And he didn't know how to pray out loud when I got there, but we had some times coming up, and I said, why don't you just say a sentence? Just a sentence. We'll pass it around. And he started saying, and he became where he wanted to lead the prayer this time. Here, let me pray. But they moved out of town. They moved up to Rich Hill. They were coming up. And a young couple, a young family moved in to their house. So it's my duty to go visit. And I went up, and there's 3 or 4 kids playing in the yard, and I knocked on the door, and the young mother came to the door and said, yes? I said, I'm the Methodist minister in town. And she said, we're Catholic. And I didn't leave. I said, well, there's no Catholic church in Liberal. Do you know where the Catholics in this town go? No. I started naming families. Here's some that go over to Pittsburgh to church, and here's a few families that go to Lamar for church. And then she said, why are you, a Methodist minister, telling me how to find a Catholic church? And I pointed to her kids. That's the reason. I don't know what she did. And you know, sometimes there's people that you're going to invite to our wonderful super church that it's not going to be right for them. And we're not trying to get everyone to go to North Star, are we? We can't serve everyone. So once in a while, we may find someone. I found a lady the other day, and she's Methodist. She's been Methodist all her life. She likes formal worship. I said, well, you could come visit, but her already giving me the ground rules, I said, maybe you better go up on a hill. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll share with that little church up on the hill. But I still invite her to come here. So, you build it, and it's going to be nice. We're going to have a good time. But don't just go out there the first Sunday and open the doors and wait for the crowd. Unless you and me have done our job. And it's a fun job to invite somebody to worship with you. Nobody has ever slugged me yet. Now, if I come in with another bandage next week, you'll know that it didn't work. I can take it.
Hey, Larry.
Yes.
Just real quick, sorry, but Bob and I were in Iowa, and I just want to say to everybody who do have a hard time, because it's hard for me sometimes to talk to people, kidding. And Bob had on his, which I thought was very interesting, the North Star Church that we were told people didn't like. What was it? No Perfect People.
Oh, yeah?
Loving My Wife. These 2 young people who
Yeah, cool.
Where did you get that? And I thought, okay, Bob doesn't, he's a little on the shy side. So that gave him the opportunity to talk. So sometimes the doors open.
God opens doors for us, but we have to be ready to go in. Even if we're shy like Bob, he was able to tell them where our church is. That's great, and that's what I'm just trying. I'm trying to take the fear away from, and it's a legitimate fear. What are they going to say? What am I going to make a fool out of myself? Heck, I've done that so many times. I'm used to it. Fools for Christ, yes. So, thanks for sharing that. That's what I'm trying to get across, is that we can do it. I know you folks, and you're good folk, and I know that it may be difficult at times, but and then one more thing, just when they show up, let's watch for the new people and those of us that are there. I went over here the other day and I says, have I met you before? And I had met her, right? But I hadn't met you, had I? I had. You see, when you're 76 years old, your mind starts. But anyway, I'm glad I went up because now we've had more talking. And I've got a little bit of an excuse because I take off once in a while, but I haven't been here a while. Have I met you? Have I met you? And if you have, you've met them again. Well, I see the kids starting to come in, so it must be time for me to quit talking. We're going to share communion now. And if those who are preparing themselves or will help us serve would come forward. Let us use the time of communion as a time of saying, maybe our prayer is, oh God, I can't invite other people. I need help. Maybe that's what it is. Whatever it is. Let us continue, as I'm sure you do, that each week our prayers for our future are very much ahead of us. On the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took bread, plain old bread, what they had with the meal, and he asked God to bless it, and then he broke it, and he gave it to the disciples and said, take and eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. And in like manner, after the meal, he took the cup, and as was his custom, he asked God to bless the cup. And he said to them, take and drink. This is my body, not my blood, of the new covenant, shed for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Take and drink in remembrance of me. Today we invite you to come, and that usually says everybody's invited. We don't throw anybody out. But we invite you to come. Oh, I like the new change for what it's worth. I like the loaf and tearing it off, and I just about forgot about it. They take a piece of the bread. And then you will dip it gently into the juice. And we believe that in some special way God is present with us as we do this. So I invite you to come as the ushers lead you from the back.
is no guilt here. There is no shame, no pointing fingers. There is no blame. What happened yesterday has disappeared. The dirt has washed away. Now it's clear. There's only grace. There's only love. There's only mercy. And believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. And there's nothing left now. There's only starting over now under the sun. Stepping forward now, a new life has begun. A new life has begun. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. The sins are gone without a trace, and there's nothing left now. There's only grace. And if you should fall again, get back up, reach out and take my hand. Get back up, get back up, get back up again. Get back up again. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace, and there's nothing left now. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace, and there's nothing left now. There's only grace.
For being here with us today. There's a couple of ways that you can get involved with North Star, just besides on Sunday mornings, and we would love to have you be part of all of those events. The first is Rising Hill Elementary School is a new elementary school that's going to open about the same time as us. They are in, or we're in the boundaries of that school. So the kids in our neighborhood will be attending that school this fall. They are going to be assembling their playground on June 23rd. It's a Saturday from 7 to 3. And we would love to have representation from North Star Church there to help them with that playground. You don't have to be there the whole time. You can sign up for an AM shift, a PM shift, or all day if you want. If you don't think you want to build a playground, other ways to get involved would be to bring up coolers of ice water for the workers, some snacks to share with them. So there is a sign up online if you would like to do any of those things. You can sign up, or you can see Cindy Osborne or Michelle Broughton about that. They've met with the school counselor and the principal, and they're very open to a partnership with us. There's going to be lots of exciting things going on with that elementary school as they begin to meet there this fall. Next, this Tuesday is our first Terrific Tuesday. I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I don't know how many kids will be there. We have lots of people that are signed up to help, but we could still use more, so just show up. There's going to be inflatables, cupcake decorating, hot dogs. The construction workers may be there, who knows? So it's going to be fun. So we would have you join us for that. If you are going to help with that, I'd ask that you be there at 5:30. Invite your kids and their friends and neighbors. If you were listening to Larry this morning, it may be a great way to talk to somebody about North Star and invite them to something. Next, we have Relay for Life, things that are happening. Tomorrow is the Raising Canes fundraiser, so you can go by Raising Canes and mention Relay for Life, and they'll donate a portion of that sale to Relay for Life. And then the luminaries are for sale as well. Those are for people in memory or in honor of people that have been affected by cancer. Relay for Life is the 23rd as well, so if you want to be on the North Star team, you're more than welcome to sign up for that. I know that Kelly Flanagan and Kathy Plachecki can answer any questions you may have. And then we have one more announcement.
Yes, Donut Palooza. You brought the donut up. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with the donut. It is next week. It is Father's Day. For your convenience, Tricia made these Donut Palooza invitation cards. You can easily use these to invite your dad, your friend's dad to come join us next week at Donut Palooza. The donuts have been ordered. We ordered a ton of them, so make sure you come hungry, make sure you bring your friends, and it's going to be a good time. This time, though, I'd like to invite you to rise as we close with our song of celebration.
You don't have a job, don't pay your bills, won't buy you a home in Beverly Hills. Here we go. Won't fix your life in 5 easy steps. Ain't the law of the land or the government, but it's all you need, and love will hold us together, make us a shelter to weather the storm, and I'll be my brother's keeper, so the whole world will know that we're not alone. It's waiting for you, knocking at your door. Every moment of truth when your heart hits the floor and you're on your knees, and love will hold us together, make us a shelter to weather the storm, and I'll be my brother's keeper, so the whole world will know that we're not alone. This is the first day of the rest
I really thought maybe we should close after our thought with who's Fogarty that wrote Put Me In, Coach? You remember that song? Well, that's kind of our prayer. Put me in, Coach. We believe in what we're doing. We want to see our church grow and serve more people, so I'll send you away with the prayer. Put us in, Coach. We're ready to play.